Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the final, dramatic chapter of one of history's most legendary figures, Alexander the Great. After years of epic conquests, forging an empire that stretched further than anyone had ever dreamed, we reached the moment where even the greatest conqueror couldn't conquer fate itself. This is part 6, The Death of a Legend. It's the year 323 BC. Picture this: Alexander, still in his early 30s, stands at what he probably imagined was the precipice of even more greatness. He's just returned to Babylon, a city that symbolized the heart of his vast, newly unified world. For a decade, he had pushed his armies, and himself, beyond human limits, creating an empire that spanned from the sun-drenched shores of Greece all the way to the distant, mystical lands of India. His vision had reshaped the known world, blending cultures and carving a new future. But as often happens with those who reach the highest peaks, the descent can be sudden and unexpected. After years of relentless campaigning, of countless battles, injuries, and the constant strain of leadership, Alexander's body, once a testament to his indomitable will, began to show the cracks of exhaustion. The return to Babylon wasn't just a homecoming, it was a brief respite before his next grand ambition, perhaps Arabia, perhaps new lands beyond. But it was there, in the opulent palace of Babylon, that a different kind of battle began. One Alexander couldn't win with a sword or a strategy. A fever, a relentless burning heat, coursed through him. At first, perhaps it seemed like another minor setback, something he'd overcome 100 times before. But this was different. This wasn't a wound that could be bandaged or an illness that would pass quickly. The fever intensified, gripping him with an agonizing persistence. We can only imagine the fear and confusion in the eyes of his generals and closest companions as they watched their invincible leader falter. His booming voice, the voice that had rallied armies, inspired loyalty, and struck fear into his enemies, began to fade. It became hoarse, then barely a whisper, until finally it was gone. The conqueror who had commanded millions could no longer speak. Imagine the chilling silence in that royal chamber, broken only by Alexander's labored breathing. The strongest man in the world was suddenly weak, vulnerable, and utterly human. His elite guard, his trusted generals, stood by, their faces etched with disbelief and growing despair. They were accustomed to his every command, his decisive leadership, his strategic brilliance. But now they were left without direction, without the guiding star that had led them through deserts and over mountains. In those final, agonizing days, as his life ebbed away, the weight of his legacy and the future of his colossal empire pressed down on the silent room. His generals, desperate for guidance, needing to know what would become of the world he had created, leaned in close, their hearts heavy. They asked the question that would echo through history, a question laden with the fate of millions: who will rule after you? With a final, almost imperceptible effort, Alexander whispered words that would ignite decades of conflict and reshape the political landscape of the ancient world. His answer, just 2 words, carried the weight of an empire to the strongest, and with that the light dimmed. Just a few days later, the man who had been revered as a god-king, who had literally changed the map of the world, was dead. He was only 32 years old. 32. Think about that for a moment. He achieved more in his short life than most people could ever dream of in several lifetimes. The suddenness of his death left a gaping power vacuum. His empire, vast and unmatched in its glory, almost immediately began to unravel. The unity he had so painstakingly forged, the vision of a Hellenic-Persian synthesis, shattered within months. His generals, the very men who had fought alongside him, who had sworn loyalty to him, now turned against each other with a ferocity that matched their former conqueror's ambition. They were the strongest, each claiming their piece of the pie, carving his world into separate kingdoms. The wars of the Diadochi, as they became known, were brutal and long-lasting, a testament to the power of Alexander's charisma that had held such disparate forces together. Yet, despite the fragmentation of his physical empire, his legacy, his impact on civilization could not be divided, could not be shattered. It was too vast, too deeply ingrained. Across his former domain, cities bore his name: Alexandria in Egypt, Alexandria in Aria, Alexandria Eshate, and so many more standing as permanent monuments to his ambition and vision. These cities became vibrant centers of Hellenistic culture, where Greek ideas, art, and language mingled with local traditions, fostering an unprecedented cultural exchange. This blending of cultures, this Hellenization of the East, was a direct consequence of his vision for a unified world, a world where boundaries blurred and new ideas flourished. Centuries after his passing, long after his generals had fought their last battles, kings, emperors, and conquerors would still look to Alexander as the ultimate standard of greatness. From Julius Caesar to Napoleon, leaders throughout history studied his campaigns, his strategies, his legendary resolve. He became the benchmark for military genius, for charismatic leadership, for audacious ambition. His life proved that one person, with enough courage and vision, could truly change the course of history. In life, he conquered the world, geographically and culturally. But in death, through his enduring influence, his name transcending generations, he conquered something even more profound: time itself. And his name, Alexander the Great, would echo forever, a testament to a young man who dared to dream on an epic scale, and for a brief, glorious moment, made that dream a reality. What an incredible story, right? Even today, Alexander's life continues to inspire and intrigue. Let me know in the comments what you think was Alexander's greatest achievement, or perhaps his greatest failing. Your thoughts are always appreciated. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please hit that like button, share it with a friend who loves history, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next deep dive into the past. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.